Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We are back in the park watching some kiddos enjoy paper planes or remote control planes. But there's a couple quick bit of logical derivation, continuing on looking for our definition of sensorality. So what is congruence? Right? If we have congruent angles, what do they mean? Right? If you map something, if you cover something, what is congruence? Right? Obviously it's to mapping or covering, but congruent angles. Why can things be congruent? Sensorality with a C is congruent. Congruentiality, tangentiality. What is the relationship of congruence and being tangent? Sensorality is congruent. Sensorality grunts. Congruent, grunt. Again, not explaining a lot of the things. We've already proven the consistency of language. Moving you through, you can hear the consistency. And there's so many steps that I'm just writing down the ones that are important to me that I can transmit to you. There's a whole other notebook with a bunch of derivation, and this stuff comes all day, every day. Disclosing produces closure, right? If you tell somebody the whole story, if somebody says they want closure, what are they asking for? They're asking for disclosure. So again, another identification of one of these double negatives, or again, something. Clearly it's closure is based on disclosing, both based on close, like close the door. But it's logically true that disclosing produces closure. Sensorality is closure. What is the edge of the universe, right? This question we referred back to, and the physical thing I want you to have in your mind is look at a Christmas light, or just any light in the dark. And you can literally see like the actual light bulb and then like a glow kind of around it, right? So the edge, so to speak, of the universe is immeasurable. There really is a physical limit, but it's more so of that, where it kind of like glows around the edges. But in reality, it's not a meaningful question, right? Because what is the edge? Now look at the word edge, right? It starts with E, ends with E, and there's that symmetric mapping, congruence of the D and the G. Again, I don't know how to formalize it, but literally the word edge is some sort of geometric property. Logically, it means a boundary, the edge of something, right? So, but the edge is a boundary, but then what is edging? Okay, again, PG-13, but what is edging? Edging is related to gooning. And if those words confuse you, go find your 13-year-old cousin. He'll be sure to tell you all about it. But that is true. Again, just like motion is based, edging is proportional to gooning. But what is an edge, right? It's, again, clearly, I don't want to say clearly, but it is, well, you should see the symmetry. You know, all of these things in geometric linguistics, the 2 and the 5, the 7 kind of looking like a broken triangle. They should pop out at you really, really obviously now. But linguistically, like logically, what does this word mean? It means the boundary. But no one's ever measured or interacted with the boundary of the universe. So there's no logic contained with any bit of language that would give us insight. It's not a meaningful question. It's one of those questions you can ask, but it doesn't really make any sense. Sounds like it makes sense, but it doesn't. Because the boundary, right, everything is connected. That's universally. So when you have a closed system, when you have closure, right, when you have shape, it's local. It's not universal. But edge, hedge, sensorality hedges. And then I have literally the semicolon and then risk, right? Liability is risk, right? So you hedge risk. Sensorality hedges. Mitigation hedges. If you're hedging if you're hedging against a stock trade and you want to mitigate that, you take an option. And if you have a stock equity and you're on a long position, you buy a put or you write a call. You know, so you have some appreciation. You think the stock's going to go up, but if it goes down really far, you want to have some sort of protection. Sensorality is mitigationality, the ability to limit speciality, your desire to differentiate. You want to go, impress the women, impress the dudes if that's your thing, whatever. But the point is you want to differentiate. And then sensorality is the opposite of that. And we're just working that definition out. What's the relationship of a decimal and an integral? Right? If you have a decimal, it represents incompleteness. It represents a remainder. It is a remainder. And now, again, we have a ton of physical intuition. I haven't proven it completely in the context of sensorality. Again, all of these properties have already been proven in speciality. Shout out to Science Club for continuing to commit crime. But a decimal, we have a lot of physical intuition to say that there aren't any fractions, Like you can't have a fraction of a magnetic monopole. Doesn't make any sense. So how do we make that a complete generalized statement? Not sure. I don't know if I already have. But the point is, a decimal, I don't think, but that's what it represents mathematically. In an integral, again, you're adding up. We geometrically defined infinitesimality, all of that space you can't measure because of physical boundaries. So you're adding up that space, and a decimal, I don't know. What's the relationship of a decimal and an integral? Sensorality works it out. What's it? All right, it is our next axiom. Sensorality, sensitality. Sensorality works sensitivity out. Speciality is sensitivity. And so again, I mean, it's very clear, the instant I introduce speciality or sensorality, you can see all these words like sexuality, sensuality, sentiment, all begin with S, right? Sensation. And so we're literally just connecting these words. So intuitively, we already know what sensorality is. We just need this finalizing axiom. And we have to work through all of these different contexts that ontology has been produced. Economics, physics, math, all of the above. Speciality is sensitivity, so sensorality works out speciality. So sensorality is logic. Where is logic located? Again, we have all of these different properties, these ephemeral things, but they don't have physical locations, but they are real. Right? Information is just a sequence of a resonant state of atoms or something like that. You know, if you can fill in the words, any of your operative words are going to be mine as well. I just have to reduce it. And so logic isn't located anywhere, right? Logic is the process of analysis. Logic is the process of a deduction. And it is deduction, right? They'll say deductive reasoning versus inductive reasoning. Reasoning is all deductive. I don't know what you're trying to differentiate there, but no, you're deducing, right? Derivation is there's a big old world, empirical world around you, and you prove things. You establish this is true because of this. So you're deriving fact from the empirical world, which is a set way bigger than you can process. Spacing is indicative of meaning, right? And here's another thing, I don't know if I pointed this out, certainly did in speciality, but right, the word a lot. If I say I have a lot of things, if I have one too many things, I have a lot of things, right? So now we can logically substitute many is a lot, but that's one word, that's a, no space, L-O-T, right? Now if I have a plot of land, I have a lot. And so that spacing, I guarantee you most English speakers, I would say virtually all of them, don't know they say two different words there. One has a space, one doesn't. And a space lot, a plot of land is a lot. That is, two words spaced out, right? But a lot is a unique word, and that's A-L-O-T, no space, and it's many. And so one too many, one too a lot, right? Because when you're allotting something, when you're allocating something, allotment is allocation, right? There's no space in there. And so people just don't identify, like they literally use unique sequences of words and they don't even process it. But there's two unique uses. Category, because remember again, one too many is the native counting system for any indigenous group. Me, you, the guy in the tribes at North Sentinelese Island, the guy in Africa, all of them. These things appear because it is how two is the last stabilized dynamic. You live in 3 dimensions. But category, right? We talked a lot about in category. Right, if you say category or set or group, categories is the most general because we pointed out that it is not rigorously defined. It's not axiomatized. It is not well defined based on its usage with other words. And in all of these words are all general, right? They all change and modify. It's just, like I said, it's like being a little person in a big group at a concert. Like you can't really move without the whole crowd moving with you. You can't redefine a word without understanding how it applies to every other word. I mean, that's what proof by logical exhaustion is. Literally thinking through all of the logic that would be required to finalize and say, this is how this word is used. And obviously it's a lot of work. But what's the relationship between a category and a catalog, right? It's another word that we have that's emergent because of it is directly associated to categorization. If you have a catalog, it has categories. But now here's a fun thing, and I see this on Jeopardy. I'm a big fan of Jeopardy. I don't watch much TV, but I'll watch shows with my parents or Jeopardy. I like trivia, it's fun. If you're not in the United States of America or don't know what the show is, just a trivia show. But there's a group or a topic one of the categories that they bring up. It's like you connect two things. Like you start with one word or phrase, and then the word that not Alex Trebek, Ken Jennings is looking for, it's the end of one word and the beginning of the next phrase, or the end of one phrase, the beginning of the next phrase. Right? So that's what we're doing logically with words, literally just that. And so now we're going to do that right now, right? Category, catalog, sensorality is a catalogarithm, right? Algorithm, catalogarithm. Why not? Logarithm, catalogarithm, right? It is literally the same. A catalog is related to a logarithm, literally. So sensorality is catalogarithmicality. So now we've bridged logic. You know what I'm saying? Kind of, right? You know what a catalog is. You know what a logarithm is. Catalogarithmicality. Nice. And because remember, we're just pairing up the syllables to literally calculate, so to speak, a logical statement. Like I said, it's not going to be a question. I don't have questions. It's just going to be a theorem that's put on the screen and we're done. Right? Like I said, because anything that, this, that, we're just learning words. In the same way you learn a vocab word in high school or in grade school, that is literally all we're doing. These words just have not been solidified, but it is no more or less. Right? In the same way you have to use a word naturally in context about 7 times before you remember it. There's your iteration limit. But catalog, logarithm, catalogarithmicality. Sensorality is organizationality. Or you have organs, right? Right? Well, what's an organ? Well, it's a collection of tissues. What's a tissue? A collection of cells. What's a cell? A collection of atoms. We just define that with infinitesimality, the limit of that space. So again, the lower levels, what's really, really small, we have completely defined and completely described in completeness. When I say we, I mean me, but sure. But sensorality is catalogs organize. Sensorality is organality. Right, now we have another word, very clear, organs, organ. Right, you can either think organ like a piano or organ like your organs. Because again, remember this, I've proven irreducibility, but words were already irreducible. So that's why it kind of might seem like I'm saying the same thing that's so painfully obvious, which what mathematics is answering the really simple questions. But you can't get around the fact that words are already irreducible. And everyone's already functioning on that, and then they're like, what's that? It's like, there's no words to describe it, literally. But catalogs organize, sensorality is organality, organality, regionality, sensorality is regionality, sensorality is allegiance, speciality is recalcitrant, sensorality is calcitrant. Again, just a quick chunk of derivation, all working definitions, but they just change so fast, there's no point for me even to put them on the screen. But again, just another word where we have calcitrant, right? We've defined and we use the word recalcitrant, and now sensorality is not speciality, so sensorality is calcitrant. It's easy to get along with. Now it's interesting because recalcitrant is right, is like to do again, whereas we have very clear negative prefixes like a or un or not. I mean, that's another word, but it's not. Is typically a prefix that means do again. So it's not a natural opposite, but it's something. And so we're just working through the logics. A lot of these things I don't know how to formalize. It's literally a new math subject. The opposite of information is formation. Because remember, information is this big natural definition that we're breaking. Right? Vibrational information theory, or informational. Informationality is sensorality. Right? Information is naturally defined in the negative. Formation is mass. Formation is soral. Sorationality is formationality. Good form concentrates soreness. And so what I mean is literally think about a workout. If you go into the gym and exercise, and you do a back squat, we'll just use a back squat. I hope you know how to exercise, you stupid lazy piece of shit out there. But you do a back squat. If you have good form, the top of your quads are going to be sore. The connection point of your glute on your butt's going to be really sore. So when we have this tension path, when you go and exercise, if you have good form and good posture, you're going to concentrate literally where that soreness is. Right? If I do a back squat and I bend just flat over on my back and that weight is pushing straight down to the center of mass on the earth, I'm going to strain my back. I'm distributing that tension or that force over like the surface area of my latissimus dorsi, okay? And so when you have good form and you straighten your back and your spine's, and you're like, the way I like to think of it is if you're trying to like push your spine through the crown of your head, right? You're not looking down and stressing the top of your spinal column down. You're not looking up, stressing up. You're looking pretty much straight forward, kind of at the bottom corner of a room, and you're trying to like push your spine through the crown of your head to have your spine completely perpendicular to the force vector, so you don't get injured. So if you have a good workout and use good posture, you're going to literally concentrate that soreness to those given points. Those are your tension points, literally physically. And the connection, that's internally, right? That you is an internal system. Me connected to the ground where my foot feels that pressure, that's the tension point. Right, if I'm sitting right here, right, I feel pressure right here in my butt, but I don't really feel pressure over here in my arm. I feel tension because I'm holding it up, but if it's just sitting right here, I don't really feel anything, right? Well, I feel it, but you have to kind of like think about it. So now just think about what you feel physically. Those are all your tension points. And they're called pressure points because tension is related to pressure. All right, if you're really tense, you're under pressure. But good form, right? So now we're using a lot more words. So when I'm doing these dichotomistic pairs, I'm literally jumping operative word to operative word. But then once I get to these final definitions, I have to expand it back out to the functional definitions we use. And so we're doing all of these same things at the same time. It's not really poignant for me to point out what's going on because we're just trying to get to this final answer. And so, but good form concentrates soreness. Completely true, and that's all sensorality is. Like, and this is what I'm considering renormalization. You start with a measurement, right, to renormalize. Well, a word is an empirical measurement. It is. And so that is where we're at with sensorality. Good form concentrates soreness. Soreness is tender. Sensorality is a freeing feeling. Feeling free is sensational. Sensational is wonderful. And so again, clearly tenderness is related to soreness, and then I just restarted, right? I just jumped over and just said sensorality is. Because remember, sensorality is all words. Sensorality isn't a word. I am just connecting syllables. And so we're going to have these things that you call a word, another thing you call a word, and we're going to space them out and contract them, and it's just going to be a complete new logical statement. I've said it a bunch of times, but it's really cool. I don't know when it's going to happen, but like I said, this is just mechanical for me. There's no difficulty. Every single step is trivial. It literally just takes time to work through these things. In the same way, Halley's Comet only comes around, again, once every, again, whatever. Right? All physical systems have periodicity, have frequency, right? And so deriving these things, I have to build up all this intuition, and then it literally just takes time to pass for my intuition to build up to the language that I've already developed. And so the solution, again, way back 2 months ago-ish or 3 months ago, I said, we've definitively used all of the words we need to reduce this proof. I still just don't know what the connecting theorem is. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't say guarantee you, but no, I will guarantee you that science team already knows the final answer. Because once you do enough intuitive jumps, you can literally just have a computer iterate all of the possibilities and then just calculate the answer brute force with a computer. But you have to do all of this intuitive jumping first to get to where you need, right? Because if you walk down the street, not a single person is going to say sensorality is the unique solution in geometric linguistics in dimensionless analysis, because those aren't known math subjects. But it is the only complete math subject, so to speak. It's not a subject. Language is naturally consistent. And so that's all we're doing is just re-demonstrating that. Like it's not going to be anything new at the end. But that is what we have for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.